You're listening to NT Paranormal After Dark. Nothing normal about it.
Welcome to episode 38. Does your group suck? The answer to that is probably yes, but we'll explain why. And I have in the studio with me the lovely Sarah Hatfield. Hello. How's it going?
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's a good topic just because I've seen some stuff lately with like some other groups that we've been talking to, and since we started doing this, we've run into it a lot, like a bunch of different like kind of standard practices that the other groups seem to do, and I guess we've touched on it a few times like over the years, but I don't think we've dedicated like a whole episode to like what specifically they're doing, or like ethics really. And I know I've talked about it before, but I mean, there's just a lot of things from the outset that we decided not to do that other groups do, like charging for an investigation. Like, to me, I don't think that's something you should do. I mean,
I guess if you own the property, that would be one thing.
Well, but I mean, like, as investigators,
I know what you mean. I'm just saying, if you own the property, sure, charge, but...
Oh, yeah, like if you're inviting people out to come do stuff on your property. You just
decided that this is your territory.
Well, no, more I'm talking is like a group where people come to, like they ask us all the time, like, how much do you charge to come out and do an investigation at my house?
Oh.
And there's groups that do that. They're like, oh, yeah, it's like $200 for us to come out and see if you have ghosts on your property. And to me, that has just always seemed...
I guess I haven't seen that many groups that do that.
Shady. We've run into a few... There's a few of them that are local. I'm not going to call any of them out by name, but I've just never liked that practice at all. I cannot... But... So, like, on one hand, I can see where it's good because it weeds out people that are just, like, attention seekers a little bit. Because if you're going to have to drop a chunk of change to get these people out to your house, then you're probably not going to want to do it unless you legitimately have something to show them. Maybe.
Unless you're a dedicated attention seeker.
I don't know. But it just seems like the service that, not just us, but any paranormal investigator, regardless of what they claim they can do, it's a very limited, like, you're not, the service we're offering doesn't even have like a result. Like, there's no product.
It's basically, I'm going to come hang out at your house for 4 hours.
Yeah, we're coming to hang out at your house, and we're going to tell you some BS that you either will or won't understand. We'll either be able to convince you or not convince you. But it's just, I don't know. It seems shady to me that any group, I would be leery of any group that charges to come out to your house or your property and do this thing. And to me, in my head, is the only people that would actually even be willing to pay would be people that own like a business or something, and they're trying to get like publicity to like start, and so they see it as like an advertising investment. Which, I mean, inherently, there's nothing wrong with. I mean, depending on what the group claims they find there's nothing inherently wrong with using that as kind of a
gimmick.
Is like a gimmick, yeah, whatever, but. I don't know. I'm going to say that if your group is charging to go, your group can charge for certain things, I guess. Like we'll we do charge for some stuff, like public. If you want us to come teach a whole class and do like an event sort of thing with like people or whatever, most of the time we'll do that for free if we're just asked. But we do we have like a fee, like if you want us to come to your venue and like host this whole party or something like that, like I guess like people would do a Tupperware party, you can do a paranormal party instead. I mean, we have rates for that, but we usually end up doing it for free anyway. Like all of it ends up being
for your true romance / paranormal party.
Yeah, like I keep wanting somebody to call us up to do that. Like, hey, I don't want an investigation, but all my friends are into the paranormal. We want you to come out and do like a presentation like in my house. And I always think of that scene from Ghostbusters 2 when like they've been out of work for a while and they're at like the birthday party singing the Ghostbusters theme. I just always think that's where we're going to end up at in like a few years. It's like when the book's not selling, nobody cares about the the show on Amazon or the podcast anymore. Just call NT Paranormal out. They do birthdays. There's just like kids running around and they're like, ghosts aren't real. And we're like, yeah, we've been saying that forever. I don't know. I think anytime money changes hands in this particular field, there's something shady, even with paranormal equipment. There's, how do I do this without calling somebody out? But there's places you can go online, and if you type in paranormal investigation equipment, you'll find it, and it's marketed as paranormal, and people are making money off of it, and it's no better than a novelty item. I mean, like if you go buy an EMF detector and you get an EMF detector, that's fine, but it's not
marketed as a ghost seeker.
Yeah, or there's a certain company out there that makes these like little, supposedly it tracks EMFs, but really it's just like little lights that shine through a glow stick, and it tells you like what direction the ghost is.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't know that it's doing that. And like
or what is the thing that every other group has that we don't? The little bears?
The Boo Buddy. Yeah. And it's, I get it. It's supposed to detect static electricity, and it lights up when there's an EM.
But why is that any
field.
different than having an EMF detector?
Supposedly, the bear would make a kid ghost want to like play with it. It's like an interactive object. I mean, we've taken dolls on.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the function is that actually makes that thing light up, like for real. And there's no saying that the random static fields it's getting her actually goes. That's
the thing. It sounds like an EMF detector that, laughs creepily.
Right. And, okay, so if they were charging $20 for the Boo Buddy or $20 for the REM pods.
What's a REM pod?
It's a little...
Rapid eye movement pod?
No, it's I don't know why they call it REM, but it's something radiation electromagnetic, I guess, or whatever. It's just a little thing with an antenna on it, and when static gets close to it, the light comes on and it goes wee to let you know there's a ghost standing by your REM pod, right? So if they were charging like $20 for like,
they're saying bear equals trigger object, but why not get a doll and an EMF detector?
That's what we do, because I'm too cheap to buy a bear that somebody else calibrated. Here's the deal: if I want to, the point of looking for EMF would be to measure EMF. So I want to know what it's reading on the detector, not just if it's there or not. Because guess what? It's there. EMF is everywhere. So if you just got something that turns on and off to let you know there's a ghost in the area, that's not real freaking helpful, because it could also be, oh, Charlie just walked in with his tinfoil hat, so it set the bear off in the next room. Like, you don't know. And if this stuff was super cheap, I wouldn't have as much of a problem with it. But there's so much of it that, like, I've looked at how it's built and reverse engineered it and done like a different version of it that gives more accurate results and things like that, and it cost me less to buy all the parts separately to get it than that Boo Buddy thing is like $200. You're paying $200 for it's a stuffed animal with like little REM pods stuck in it. That SB7 Spirit Box we use, it's just a little transistor radio, dude. That's $40. $40, and it's marketed as an ITC device. Like, that's not right. It's just a radio scanner. So I think the people that are making money off of it's a market like anything else. You got people that make money off of fake vomit.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. I don't think that's as shady as like groups that charge to go do stuff, but there's definitely a very like monetized aspect to it, and I think that comes from the popularity that it's gained from the TV shows and stuff.
Well, if it wasn't that popular, they wouldn't be making any money.
And it's crazy how popular it's got, because when we first started, we were like, okay, we'll do the paranormal thing like they do on TV, but we didn't like expect to run into people, or we didn't know that there were paranormal expos or any of this crap.
And there's a big difference. When I first started doing this 15 years ago, And now, back then, I never ran into anybody.
Now, like, we can walk into any place and there could be like another team that, and it's not just like a person either. Like, we hardly ever run into like one person like doing what you used to do. We run in and there's people with logos on their shirt,
Yeah.
and they're like, we're a team.
And they have light up toys. And
it's all in it. You can tell they just bought all their crap on Amazon or GoStop.com. You know exactly where they went to get that toy or what, because they look at our stuff and they're like, well, where did you get that? How do I buy that ghost detector? And we're like, that's not what that is, idiot.
You're so mean.
I don't care. Well, you know what? I am being mean because I've seen some pretty wankish stuff recently that really irks me. And it was actually third party for a change. Usually it's our group getting dumped on by other groups, because we don't have the psychic and we argue a lot and we don't verify evidence. But I saw another group get dumped on lately where they're like, well, thanks to this group, we're not going to let anybody come into our turf anymore. They were like throwing down.
Dance party over turf.
And it's so, I don't know where groups get this mentality that they own a place. Like we don't really advertise some of the locations, but it's not because we want to be the only group to ever.
Just because we don't want other people destroying it.
I don't trust anybody to, the government's been shut down for 30 days and the state parks are a fucking nightmare right now because people are just like, well, Smokey's not here, let's burn it down, and so, if we, it's not fair to say that, we're territorial, because if we get to know you, you talk to us and you show us that, okay, you really are.
We'll tell you the
location. And Emilio's watching. We gave Emilio, the location to Kyle. We're like, okay, you're serious about it. We know. We know
you're not going to go there and kick over tombstones.
Yeah, we'll vet people. The other thing we're not doing is finding a place and charging people as a liaison there. So one place that we go is the Granbury Jail. And, I might get some backlash for just saying this out loud, but here's the deal. Anybody can go investigate the Hood County Jail Museum. You can have a maximum of 10 people in your group, and it's $50 to investigate for the night. It's pretty cheap. You just give a $50 donation, and your group can go in there overnight. All you got to do is email ahead, and they'll set up a date for you to do it. It's not a big deal. There's another local group. I haven't done a lot of talking with them, but the thing is they will pay that $50 fee to reserve that place, and then they turn around and they sell tickets. Yeah. They sell tickets for $50 a head to go in there, and they don't want you to bring your own equipment. They don't want you doing it as your own team investigation. They want you to use their equipment, and they want to show off for you and show you how to ghost hunt, and then I think they cater or whatever. So it's kind of a little bit, it's kind of fine or whatever, but they allude they're the only people that have access to those locations. And the thing is all they've done is they've done a lot of legwork to find the people that are in charge of those places and reserve all the dates before anybody else can reserve them. Because they used to do some stuff in the Crazy Water, which we've been wanting to do forever. But It's real hard to find the information for the person that owns it. I still haven't found it. So I kind of gave up, and I was trying to go through that other group for a little while. And they started blowing me off because I think they said that the fire marshal wouldn't let them do it anymore, and that might be legit. I don't 100% know, but I feel like I was specifically getting blown off for that. And then they do a bunch of stuff in Mineral Wells, and I don't think that's right. It's, I don't know. They just present it
well, and then that's your only group to rely on for the evidence too.
Yeah, it's on total.
There's no one checking this. There's no control. There's no one else coming in and going, okay, that was BS. This might be true.
Right, yeah. And, and when I talk to that specific group, and I'm not going to call out the name of the group, but most of you guys could probably figure out who it is, if you just look. because of the places I mentioned. But the thing is like when I talked to them about the crazy water, I said, okay, like I see how your package thing works, because they wanted to go in with us, and they wanted to bring equipment, and they want to do pizza and give us a walkthrough and all that. And I said, how much just to get into the place and you go away? Like, I don't want anybody else there. I don't want, because we're doing legitimate investigations, and I don't need somebody else in there screwing around and mucking it. I mean, that goes doubly for us on other people's event. Like when Haiti came down to do the thing in Alton, if she had actually wanted to do a serious investigation down there, I was hampering that whole freaking process. I mean, you're not getting a good investigation down there. It's not happening. But I definitely wasn't helping the situation at all. Are
you ever?
Well, I mean, part of what we do is we control the location. So
no one's walking around in the background.
Right. And if I have anybody in the group that I don't personally know, I don't have control over it. Because, like, if you tell me you see something, I know I can trust that you're going to report it as accurately as possible. I know that with Allie. I know that with Casey. I know that with and your dad. Anybody that comes with us, I know that you're legitimately trying to discern things. If I have that other group leader with me, dude, he could be in the back just being like, I'm having a psychic event. Like, I don't know him from anybody else or anybody else in that group. So it's fair to say we don't work and play well with other groups on investigations. And it's not that we don't want to work with other groups. It's just that if we're doing legitimate investigations, we don't need the extra set of hands getting in the way, contaminating everything.
Well, and Tammy says, I think most people don't want the hassle of investigating your place or buying their equipment, so they like things like this. Yeah, and that's fine. It's more that they're not allowing other groups to do it at all.
Yeah, and that's my complaint. It's not that they're like doing this, or it would be just like a ghost tour or a ghost walk,
which is fine. A lot of people do ghost walks.
Yeah. If you're not in a legitimate investigation group, there's no reason you should just have all this equipment laying around. But that doesn't mean that you should never get to participate in that sort of thing if you're interested in it and you like the shows. And in that case, it should be like a guided tour, and I have no problem with that. But the groups that do that, they get it on lockdown, and they make it so that, okay, my legitimate science group wants to come in and conduct a real study. Well, sorry, you can't do that unless you go through this group, and you have to do it our way. And that's completely not fair. And it turns out, like with the jail, they're doing that with the jail. But I just happened to get the correct the avenue of contacts and talk to them directly. And they're like, oh, no, we have no problem with it. It's like $50. And so there's this like huge markup. And then it's this like shady thing where these specific groups are making a ton of money just being tour guides. Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with the ghost walks. There's nothing wrong with guided ghost tour.
I mean, I've considered starting a ghost walk.
Yeah. I would absolutely do it too. But if another group came to me and said, hey, that's a really cool area. Is it really haunted? Well, this is going on. Well, my group would really like to come in and investigate, but we want it to be a private investigation. Then I would say, okay,
let me hook you up with the owner.
Yeah. Here's the information.
Because if they really, if their goal is really to prove the existence of the paranormal, let's say that's the uniting goal, then...
As opposed to just making money or
which is a fine goal. But if you're trying to scientifically prove something with, our pseudoscience, you've got to have other groups come in on their own. That's how that works. One scientist doesn't decide something. You've got to have a bunch of them. They have to get the same results.
And I feel there's so many of those locations that, like Haiti put, they're cock blocked.
Yeah.
And they're public locations. And even if it's a group that's like not, they're still territorial. Even if they don't if they're not making money off of it. Alton Bridge is one of them. 2 times we've been out there. And the person that owns that territory just magically shows up and hovers around, is like, oh, well, I do the tours out here, blah blah blah, and I'm like, lady, go away. You know, it's like I've already heard your spiel. I'm done. You know, it's a public location. Go somewhere else, or you know, there's a lot of that goes around, and it sucks.
They're like cats. I marked it. It's mine.
They get mad, like especially if you come up with
different results.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with it, because there's a lot like Alton Bridge.
Yeah, that's what Catherine just said. Yeah, I think also they don't want other groups coming in to poo-poo on the location saying there's no ghost because they got evidence one night. Which is basically, I think, what happened at Alton is this other person had all this, quotes, evidence.
They got demonically possessed.
And they smelled weird smells, and, you know, they smelled onions because there's wild onions.
It's, well, you know...
And then if we go out there and we go, this is all BS, we've kind of just messed up their night.
Well, see, and the thing is like, she does walking tours out there, and it's supposedly haunted or whatever. But when we go out and we release a video saying, nah, it's not haunted, or we didn't really, you know, our results don't line up with those results, then, you know, it feels like it hurts their pocketbook. That's fine. But if the place is truly interesting, people are going to go no matter what anybody says about it or what video is released.
Yeah.
But I don't know. On the one hand, I understand it, but on the other hand, I think our group really doesn't care if somebody comes to a place where we have... I mean, we've never said anywhere is haunted, but there have been a lot of places, like Kyle, we've gone out there and we have got weird stuff.
Someone go prove me wrong, please.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, Emilio's group has gone out there, Paranormal Brothers. Yeah, boom. Plug on the podcast, buddy. You know, they went out there and they really didn't find anything, which isn't, like, entirely freaking surprising.
No.
I mean, maybe we are all freaking insane. I mean, there's plenty of places, like, we get EVPs everywhere we go, but, like, if somebody goes into Needful Things and they're like, hey, guys, it's the plumbing or the lights are screwed up, I'd be like, okay. I mean, it wasn't that when we were in there, or it didn't seem like that while we were in there. We looked at that and we couldn't reproduce
I'll
that,
accept
but
a valid explanation.
Yeah, if you've got a valid explanation for something, that's good. But that's because our goal is actually science and the truth, as opposed to we're just trying to make some money. I mean, everything we do has been out of pocket. I mean, really, truly, like all the equipment, it's purchased or built by me. All the venues, like booth fees, stuff like that, it's just all out of pocket. That's why we don't do a whole hell of a lot of investigations just one after another, especially at the really cool places where you have to pay to get in, because we have to save up to do that. And we've never really... We tried taking donations for a little while, but a lot of people don't donate.
And we felt shady about it.
Yeah. And I mean, we started collecting donations for the EEG or whatever, and and thanks to everybody that did donate. I mean, we didn't get anywhere close to what we needed for it, and those funds just ended up going towards the investigation in March. But it's just out of pocket, and we've never asked anybody for, like, to pay us to do something. You got some comments popping up?
Oh yeah, I was just reading one.
Oh.
If you scroll down, you'll also see it.
What if there was a video released of them fucking up people's investigations? Bet that would be good for business. Yeah.
And then Catherine said, no evidence one night doesn't mean not haunted. Social media with one personal comment saying it's not haunted is one thing. A whole group with their own equipment found more legit. There's a negative comment.
She's saying that if we went in, like, with all our equipment and tests and like, built a case, not just some random troll in the comments saying, that's bad, like, it would catch more attention. People would be like, oh, that place isn't haunted. But,
and the goal isn't to debunk the other groups, it's to prove it to ourselves.
Yeah, but I think that's how it gets perceived, and besides the territorialism, like, over the physical place, there's a lot of animosity in the paranormal community. Like, we weren't 3 months out of the gate before you were getting attacked online just for having an opinion on what we had done so far, and you were being accused of sabotaging our investigations because you weren't.
Because I don't believe in ghosts, I could not be a paranormal investigator. That was the logic.
It's like, okay, if you're a non-believer in ghosts, like you don't believe in the paranormal, what's the only thing that's going to convince you?
See, because everyone's ghost story, I didn't believe in ghosts until
I didn't, and I always say I didn't disbelieve, but I didn't believe either. I was mostly freaking indifferent until something happened. And then I believed. And then we went on 1,000 investigations, and now I'm on the side of, man, I just had a weird day at work, like in 2013, and it could be either way. But it's real arrogant of other groups to just throw down on you like that. And I say that like with a real chuckle because
you're doing that right now.
Yeah, because it's exactly what we do, because we look at other groups and we're like, oh, you brought the psychic, and that's always our thing. And so, I mean, we kind of do it too, but we don't make this big show of making it a rivalry. Like, it's like you said, we're not specifically trying to debunk what another group did.
No, I want to go there probably because they told a story and it sounded cool. Now, if we end up debunking it, my bad.
Yeah. Every group needs a non-believer. And see, I think every group needs a panel of non-believers to keep the rest of the idiots in check. Because I'll tell the truth, like, when the thing first happened at the warehouse, everywhere we went, I saw ghosts. Everywhere. Antioch. There's like...
Every group needs both.
There's 15 minutes of video of us just staring into the darkness going, I see something moving. No, you don't. We don't see anything. There's nothing back there. We're just stupid.
Or it was a dog.
No, we were like, the shadows are cool. Have you watched that video in forever?
I don't want to talk about it.
It's so horrible. We're like, what is it? What's going on? The shadows are forming a demon. And it's not, we're just wigged out. That's all it is. Our eyes are adjusting to the darkness ever so slowly. It's cold outside. We're scared because we heard a squirrel scamper through the trees. That's all it is.
Or an owl eat a bunny.
Oh my God. And it's just, I don't know. But, so, I mean, if you want to know if your paranormal group sucks, here's one, like, telltale clue. Are you charging for your services? Because if you are, you're garbage. I'm just telling you right now. Because what are you offering these people? Because you can say...
We're going to come to your house and prove whether it's haunted or not.
No, you can't.
No.
If you could actually prove a place was haunted, this would not be pseudoscience anymore.
It'd be science.
It would be science.
I would be a scientist.
So you're charging people to come in and give your opinion about whether or not their house is haunted. You can't prove... Let's put it this way. If I needed an exterminator because I've got cockroaches, right? And I call the exterminator out, and he's like...
Oh, you might have cockroaches.
He looks around, he's like, well, I haven't seen a cockroach anywhere in this place, but there's some evidence of cockroaches.
Give me $200.
What kind of evidence? Well, you probably have cockroaches, but since I didn't, and I can't do anything about it either because I'm not a qualified cockroach exorcist, I'm going to need $200.
That's what I'm calling exterminators from now
on. Cockroach exorcists. Yes. # cockroach exorcist. But, I mean, in any other professional field, if you're paying for something, you're paying for
a result?
For a result, a product, or something.
Yeah,
not
if
just
you
an
called
opinion.
the plumber out and he was just like, yep, there's plumbing here, and then he left, you wouldn't give him any money.
There's plumbing here. I found crap in your toilet. Are you going to do something about that? Nope, didn't bring an EMF detector. Oh, no. So, yeah, like, if you're charging for services... If you are charging people to come to a location that you don't fucking own, you're garbage. Like, unless
you're doing like a ghost walk.
Unless you're doing it like a tour or something like that. But if you're actively... Okay, maybe I worded it wrong.
Yeah, because I'm full...
If you're actively keeping other groups from doing their own thing, and you're, like, filling up a schedule so nobody else can get out there, you're
a dick.
Yeah, you're just garbage.
And I hate you.
That would be like me renting out every room of a hotel
and then charging
for
them
myself on like con weekend.
Oh God!
And then when people are like, "Hey man, I really need a place to stay." Hey,
$700,
dude, I can get you into this hotel. Well, oh, do you like own the hotel? No, I just rented all the rooms because I'm a dickbag. That's literally all they're doing. So that's bad. Another indication that your group might suck. Like, what kind of qualifications are you trying to cite as your group?
He said as if we had any qualifications.
We do. I don't say I'm a fucking paranormal investigator. We don't do that. We say, hey, she has experience with, like, EMT medical stuff. Casey has experience with,
I did
like,
CPR on someone. They died anyway.
Psychology. I have experience with, like, equipment and technical stuff and audio stuff. And this might get us to an answer on some of this paranormal crap. But there are people that are, I'm a paranormal investigation expert. Where do you get that?
It's the Nicholas Flamel School for Parapsychology.
The same place I got it.
From Harry Potter. Well, he was an actual dude, but whatever.
Hashtag crap exorcist.
Yes.
So, like, you get these... Here's the deal. And it's the same with us. We just all happen to be super specialized, intelligent people. But
I'm not intelligent.
But paranormal groups are just a group of buddies that got together, and one of them has probably got a legitimate interest in the stuff. The other ones are like, hey, let's throw back some Bud Lights and go follow Rick around in the dark with an EMF detector. This will be a hoot.
That does sound pretty fun.
It is.
We should do a drunk paranormal investigation.
But if your group is presenting themselves as an expert, but your only like real training of like expertise is, you know, sitting around telling people they got ghosts as opposed to like actually investigating, you probably shouldn't call yourself like an investigator. I don't know. That's kind of loose. You can bend the rules there. I mean, there's no school for...
Investigators, fine, but like when people are like, oh, what makes you an expert in this? I'm not. What gave you the impression I was?
Maybe it just comes from a real deep-seated butthurt that I get called out all the time. They're like, well, you're not a good investigator. I'm like, shut up, dude. You just walk around the house going, yep, there's definitely a haunting in here. Dude, you have no kind of qualification, expertise, anything other than you've been to a lot of places that you said were haunted.
I think what's actually going on here is you had a long week and you just wanted a 2-hour platform to rail on people.
That's exactly what's going on. I just...
How else do you know your group is garbage? If you go into a house, you say there's a demon there, and then charge them to get rid of it.
That is the number one way to know that now, at least someone in your group is garbage.
If you're legitimate, like if you're a medium and that's your profession, or you are a religious person and that's your profession, and someone legitimately believes you can come out and do that, and they come up with this idea on their own that their house is haunted, and you charge them to help. Okay, that's one thing. But going in there and saying it's haunted specifically to make money off of their misery and fear, that makes you a cock.
It depends a lot on the scenario, and it's exactly what we're saying. If the people are already afraid and there's bad stuff happening in the house, right, and they call you in to get rid of it, even though that's not really a thing, grow up, but, you know, that's one thing. You've been called there to do that specific thing. When you just go do an investigation at someone's house and they're like,
fix this for $500.
Yeah, and they're like, oh man, it's like that. It's like the cockroach exorcist comes in and you're like, I think I've got some roaches, and he comes in and he's like, man, you got water bugs, you got demon crickets, you've got squirrels that take acid, There's a raccoon dealing out of your closet, and you're like, this stuff wasn't here before. What do I do? And he's like, well, I can only get rid of it if you buy the Super Jesus juice. You can just... I feel bad for the people that get duped, because here's the problem. People were paying for it.
Yeah.
For this specific... So, he was at least convincing enough to get these...
He was going in and terrifying people.
Yeah, he was getting people riled up, and it was really bad. I've been joking about doing that. Drunk Paranormal, kind of like the show Drunk History. Hey, that is a good idea. That could be like my drunk cooking show that I do sometimes, where I just get like plastered and make meatloaf. But we should get just like super hammered and then just like go try to start fights with the ghosts.
We should do it next time Hades down. We should do a drunk.
Yeah, Paranormal Jackass.
I could kick everyone out of my house and we could do my house.
I hate when people claim there's a demon and they have the nerve to charge or tell them to leave.
And they have to tell them to leave. Yeah, I don't... That's another thing, telling people to move out of their house. Like, oh, it's haunted, you've got to leave. Like, I got a mortgage, bitch. What?
Like, I don't... It's just... It's so weird. And it's... I guess the temptation is real. I mean, because there's so many, like...
Idiots? Oh, sorry. Believers.
I mean...
Fanatics.
It is what it is, but, I mean... I guess they are easy marks, because if you've got to the point that you think you have something in your house anyway, you've got to the point that you'll almost believe anything. Yeah, I mean, you're desperate at that point.
I gotta say, a decade ago, if my kid, like when my kids were scared of whatever was in the house, if someone had said they could fix it, came by and fixed it, I might have been willing to pay them money. But of course, I think a lot of that's the nature of suggestion.
I think what really spurs all this, and maybe there's not a specific, maybe there are instances where it's okay to charge for things. Maybe there are instances where it's okay to claim a spot and protect it. You know, maybe I'm being too harsh.
But we're talking about specific.
But the problem is there are so many shady freaking people out there that are claiming to do what we do, and they don't. They absolutely do not. And it's these mixed groups of people that all do different things. So you have one person in your group that says they're a psychic. Well, who's keeping that freaking person in check? Because I've seen a couple of groups where, like, 3 people in the group claim they use science, but they have 2 people in the group that are psychics. One person's like a medium.
It's fine to have a psychic, just I want proof. I want to be able to prove what they say.
And there's so many groups per, like, area, too. I mean, there's, like, 6, like, right here in Fort Worth.
We obviously need to move to California because Tammy said there weren't very many there. You're correct the first time, idiots.
It's just... I don't...
Because we live in the DFW area, there is a concentration. There's like 15 groups in this one area. And we kind of came to the game late start. Like when I was just doing it on my own, I was just going to cemeteries because I like cemeteries.
And the thing is I kind of get it. There's only so many places to investigate. Yeah. Like we have lucked out.
Before we start just going door to door, hey, your house haunted?
Yeah. And so, yeah, you kind of have to fight for the time to go into these places to, you know, you've got to schedule it, and you got to think ahead and get into these spots. And yeah, it's kind of frustrating, but it's not okay to like take it out on whoever's just now getting into this or having a casual interest. Like, it's so weird that the popularity boom. Like, I'm not trying to keep anybody from doing it. That's never been the goal. And I'm perfectly happy to show people how to do stuff or explain things. But there's just this constant, like you said, we kind of came into it later than some of these other groups, and they had already staked it out. And there's, instead of it being this just kind of like welcoming community, it's this kind of like, well, if you're going to do it, stay away from our place. Go find your own place.
Which is the frustration, because what you need is everybody working together. So we go through, and then a group with psychics goes through, and then another group goes through, and we all show our evidence. Everybody
shows their evidence, but everybody is super guarded about how they got there. And I think one of the reasons that we're one of the more respected groups is we're an open book. We're like, look, this is exactly what we did. Mistakes and all the mistakes are on the table. But the other groups are so worried about getting caught making... they're worried that they're going to show something that they think is evidence, get proven wrong, and then like it's going to discredit everything they do.
Yeah.
So they're real guarded on how they get to that conclusion. But the thing is we make mistakes constantly, all the time, even with everything we've learned. Even now, I lost all the DVR footage from the last investigation. That shit happens. That's fine. And because we're open about those sort of things, and you see how we investigate and how we make mistakes and kind of counteract that and go through the logic, you can believe when we get the results. Or if you prove us wrong, we say, oh, we were wrong. No, you're right. You absolutely figured that out.
Yeah.
Why didn't we think about that at the time? But the other ones are so guarded about how they get to that end result. You can't trust anything they did because, well, why are you so guarded about it? Is it because you faked it? Probably.
Or why are you so sure about it, too? And I think a lot of
people double down. If you tell them it's just dust in their pic, that is the number one thing.
And I think a lot of that is because they probably had a personal experience, and no one wants to think they're wrong or they were mistaken.
They're so desperate to validate what happened that they're not willing to wait for the real event anymore. What's up?
I was just reading Catherine's comment.
What'd Kat say?
I think the only way you could have psychics be remotely valid is to have evidence in the areas of psychic. Yeah,
it's a double blind, right? So we don't use psychics as part of our investigation. That's not saying that when we went out to a certain location with Rose, I didn't say, hey, what are you feeling here? Or when my sister Katie was walking around, she tends to think she's sensitive, and she's like, I feel this way. And then we compare it to what everything else is showing. And if it all lines up, maybe it's kind of valid, or maybe it's a coincidence. Like, it really doesn't matter.
I'm going to want a name of someone who lived there.
Yeah, I want specifics.
Dates.
Yeah. A freaking diagram.
Yeah.
Or, somebody touching me and it makes me see a vision like in glass.
That's mostly because I don't think the human brain is capable of such things. There's no scientific evidence that that's a thing.
There's no scientific evidence anything is a thing.
I know.
Oh my God. So I wrote that article on flat earthers not believing in ghosts, and I went so far down the flat earth rabbit hole, like it gave me a stomach ache. I didn't know this. They don't believe in gravity.
I know. I've been in flat earther groups for like 2 years.
They think that the disc is just perpetually going up.
Yeah.
Do they not understand how fucking avionics work?
I guess you haven't spent enough time around flat earthers. No, they don't think gravity is a thing.
Like, you couldn't do, like, that should prove it right there, because
they also think we're under a dome.
Birds wouldn't be able to fly because you would constantly have to ascend.
They think the Earth's flat. Why are you trying to base this on some sort of intelligent rationale?
I don't know, but these are the same people that are hunting ghosts.
Emilio says, I think your evidence needs to be debunked if possible. That way you learn how to be a better investigator. That's true. Definitely.
Yeah, there's nothing we collected in the first year of investigation that I would stand by today.
No.
Not a single. I mean, there's some interesting stuff. Some of it could possibly accidentally be legitimate. I would not stand by it. If somebody pushed me even just a little bit and said, hey, man, it could be this, I'd be like, you know what? It could be that. It could absolutely be that, because you know what? I was scared. I was about to crap my pants that night. I thought ghosts were a thing.
Yeah.
The last story I heard about that spot is somebody got possessed there, and I was a little willy-nilly about it. Yeah, I don't stand by any of that crap. None of it. Not Carter, not Antioch, not Great House. None of that crap. The stuff we do now, we find a lot less evidence, but I stand by the method in which we collect it. Could it still be debunked? Yes. Anything could be debunked at any time with like a little more work, effort in figuring it out. Nothing we have ever presented have we ever said is definitive. There's no such thing as definitive.
Amelia says, like when I presented some of my evidence at Ashton at one of the presentations, he debunked and talked to me about possibilities. So now I know what to look at with more scrutiny.
Yeah, and see, I see him as a mature investigator, somebody that wants to improve, and and look for truth. And no one's perfect. I've been saying this whole show, we constantly make mistakes. We make mistakes now. Emilio makes mistakes when he's doing his thing. But the thing is you're looking for an answer. You're looking for a result. And so when you make that mistake, you figure out how to plug that hole and go back into it. When we were first designing our experiments, I really thought, a lot of the EVPs I saw on TV and on websites, I'm like, well, those are really convincing. Why is that not scientifically valid as something? So what I did is, instead of sitting there whining and crying and being mystified by EVPs, I went to legitimate sites where they had been debunked by people that knew what they were talking about. And they're like, oh, well, in this frequency, this phenomenon happens, and it can be a radio transmission. It can be this, that, and the other. And I said, okay, those are all legitimate arguments. I still think EVPs could potentially be a thing. How do I keep these other things, how do I keep all this contamination from happening? And you go in and you plug the holes. And we still haven't come up with a 100% perfect airtight solution for that. If somebody had actually designed that already, I think we're closer than really anybody is, with our soundproof box with a Faraday cage. It's a really good thing. You know why I think it's really closer than everybody? Because we've never got anything on that recorder.
Yeah.
I think the things where we've gone through and eliminated the abilities of contamination, those are the pieces of equipment that just don't work anymore. They physically work, they technically work, but they never find anything.
Me and Dad got something weird at that jail. I don't know if you've... I know all the stuff got erased, but we were in that back room with the SB7 that you had... that doesn't pick up radio anymore.
Yeah, it's completely detuned.
And
it's I made there's an internal Faraday cage around the receiver now.
And me and Dad both heard a voice say something. I told you about it when we came back in. I was like, we heard a word.
No.
Yeah. I recorded it. I had the recorder on my arm.
Oh, I need to go through
That's
that.
on there somewhere.
I haven't got that far.
Now, I'm not sure what it could be because I don't know enough about electronics. But yeah, I was like, did you hear that? And he was like, yeah. He was like, well, could it be a radio station? I was like, this is the one that Brad fixed.
Yeah, so it's real deceptive the way it sounds, right? Is like I've taken the antenna off of it, I've completely put a Faraday cage around the receiver on it, so it can't receive outside radio sources. That's not to say if you have it here and something transmitting like a couple of feet away, it can still pick that up. It's too strong of a signal, but it's not going to pick up outside radio, especially like if you're inside a building.
So it would have to have been something in the jail.
Right. Which narrows it down. So
they do have a radio in there.
But who's broadcasting over that radio? And we have walkie-talkies, but we weren't broadcasting over a walkie-talkie.
We weren't even using our walkie-talkies.
So it would have to... So it could pick something up, but it would have to be somebody broadcasting in close proximity, like to the building. And the number one source for those sort of things is truckers.
Truckers.
Right? But we know there's no semis going through that particular area that we were at. So you can kind of narrow it down.
Yeah.
So it is interesting that you got that. And it's not to say that there's absolutely no way it could be anything.
Catherine says with all our stuff, we're blocking the ghost energies.
But you're blocking the ghost. I'm about to block you from this website.
She said LOL. That means it's a joke.
I know.
Jeez, Brad.
But, oh my God. Okay, so back to like the expertise thing. What drives me insane is people that don't know what they're talking about. I notice it on the tech stuff because I do the mechanical engineer thing, right? And specifically with the SB7. I was watching another group's live stream. I'm not going to say who because somebody from that group's watching. But they had somebody in their group explaining why the voices coming through on their spirit box have to be spirits. And it was basically a word-for-word repeat of what you would hear on Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
Right? And the idea is okay, so here's the main... It goes through the channels so fast... And I'm not explaining... I'm looking at you, but I'm explaining it to our audience. It goes through the channels so fast that if you get a complete sentence or word over multiple sweeps, it has to be something supernatural instead of something broadcasting because it's on multiple channels and you only broadcast. Okay, so he's explaining this to everybody, but the problem is that is not how you broadcast radio waves. That's not correct at all. You do what's called broad sweep broadcasting. It's going to multiple channels, and the way to prove this is
turn your dial down 1 on the radio.
Yeah. So what
you get bleed through?
Go to a really good radio station for your area, like here, like it'd be the Eagle 97.1, right? If 97.1 is your radio station,
turn it to 97.3.
Turn it to 97.2. Turn it to 97.3.
Mine only
turn
does
it
twos.
to 97.4. Well, that it goes in 0.1 increments, and then go backwards, and you'll figure out you can still hear that radio station over actually like six or seven frequencies. Well, that's 6 sweeps, and if you're getting a full coherent sentence over 6 sweeps, guess what? You're just getting whatever the DJ said on 97.1 The Eagle.
Yeah.
And like I was trying to explain that, and I just got like shut down. Like, I'm like, dude, I understand how radio short, like especially FM band, because they're shallower.
Yeah.
And it's not direct. So it bothers me. It bothers me.
Sorry, what Emilio said was funny.
I'll read it. I didn't see it. I'll read it in a second. But it bothers me when people present themselves as experts in the tools they're using, and they're explaining how it's supposed to prove.
Well, like I'm not
but they don't understand what it's really doing.
That's
or
why
how
when
it
someone
works.
says, "Oh, that might be an EVP," I'm like, I don't know nothing about electronics. That's above my pay grade.
Like, I think you would be qualified to definitely say, I hear a voice in there, or it sounds like somebody talking, or I know none of us were talking at the time, but there's no way you're qualified to say, well, that's definitely not a radio transmission. Like, there's a lot of steps we have to go through to get to that point. And when I hear somebody that doesn't know anything about the tools that they're, like, everybody's running around with an EMF detector. I've met 0 people that actually understand electromagnetic frequencies, electromagnetic radiation. Like, I did a lot of research and reading to figure out how these things work, how they affect people, are they actually there, what produces them naturally, what produces them not naturally, and how does the fucking unit detect it? You know, if you ask anybody how their ghost detector is detecting EMFs, they don't understand it's on 3 separate axes. Like, they have no knowledge of the equipment they're actually using and what they're measuring, yet they're claiming a result from it. What did Emilio say?
Oh, he said another way to tell if your group is good or bad, if they quote Zach Bagans, run for the hills and find another group. Catherine says, does the sweep capture the same thing on the radio?
Yes. I mean, ours doesn't, because I've fixed it, you know, to make all the ghosts quiet. But, yeah, that's exactly how it works. And they can be set to AM or FM band. So it's the same thing as if you went to your radio and just sat there and continually moved the dial up and down and asked questions. And so everything that bleeds through, you know, you're trying to make a word out of it. And what you're supposed to look for is it's the same voice, and it all makes sense, and it's also supposed to be relative to the questions that you're answering to denote, which those are all good checks. But the thing is the responses that get flagged as, hey, this is a real response, they're always within like a 5-band sweep, which is within the range of what you can broadcast at very, very easily. And you're supposed to be able to do, it's supposed to work better on the AM band because that is a more specific, more directed broadcast wavelength. But the problem is the AM band is so weak and like quiet. When you do it, you don't ever hear any of the responses or whatever. So the best thing to do, and here's the thing, if you're communicating...
You can hear your own car on an AM band.
Yeah, and the thing is like, okay, so you shut out all the radio station, doesn't work as a radio anymore. How's the ghost supposed to come through? Well, like I said, it's still going to pick up frequencies that are standing right next to it, And if you're at the place where you're supposed to be communicating with said ghost anyway, they should be able to come through on it. Like it should, like a Faraday cage shouldn't keep them out. It's a ghost. They should be able to like stick their face in it. And
Well, I am curious though, because if you drive around on the bottom of the AM band with your car on, and like there's a thunderstorm, you can hear it through the like.
I know, it's so
But
cool.
why?
Static electricity,
Okay.
radio waves,
And you can hear your alternator and all sorts of stuff through the radio.
It all produces electricity, and so the radio waves are bouncing off of that electrical signal, and it gets pulled in with it. Yeah, science. But like I just explained that. Now go ask Steve Bootenboo down the road.
I don't think that's a name.
I know, because I don't want to say Greg. But go ask him, like, hey, how's your SB7 work? Well, it sweeps through these radio stations and it picks up ghost voice. How? Well, it sweeps through them
Ghosts.
radio stations and it picks up them ghost voices.
Demons.
EMF detectors, that's another big one. It's okay, so like here's the deal. If you're using a bunch of equipment and you haven't, looked at the instruction manual, you probably suck. I don't know. I don't weigh in, help me out.
No,
I'm
I think
drowning.
people can do that without
I'm
knowing.
drowning here.
I think people can do that not knowing what's going. I think it's fine for me being ignorant of electronics to go out and ghost hunt.
Not to use it and collect it. You can absolutely do that. I mean, then you could you can have like lab techs if that was true. But
I don't think it's valid for evidence unless you've run it by someone else. I think you have to have a check. Like you're checking the evidence, but who's checking you? I
don't know.
And there's no one policing this. I mean,
yeah, I think that's a huge problem with it. There's literally nobody policing
because
this.
it's not real. Who's gonna police the things that don't exist?
So here's a trend I've seen in other groups, and I don't know how we've avoided. Actually, I do know how we avoided this. Every other group I've seen, dude, it's like a revolving door. They're constantly got people, oh, we got new members now. We're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Oh, so-and-so left. There was like a falling out. There were arguments. There's like all this like bickering and groups font drama. Like,
well, I think that, especially if you're not already friends.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know how we got past it because our bond as friends isn't
ghost hunting, yeah.
This even if we weren't ghost hunting, we'd be hanging out doing so. We'd be doing Strictly Sickly.
Yeah.
Or making fun of me.
Driving around, going to cemeteries.
Yeah.
The same things me and Allie did before.
Yeah.
Just, I think a lot of people are meeting people through this, so they don't have anything else. So if there's a breakdown over ghost hunting, if you have two different ideas, that's bound to cause a falling out. And that's not their fault. I mean, it's just... Also, I've been told our friend group is weird.
Our friend group is weird. And incestual.
Say we get past a lot of things other friend groups don't, and for me that's because I can't make new friends because I'm abrasive and awful, so I better keep the ones I've got.
But I don't think but that does exist. That is a thing. Like I can't think of one single group where I haven't been privy to, hey, like there's some kind of turmoil going on all the time. And if your group is doing that, you're not conducting a good investigation. You're worried about something else. There's other crap going on. Like I think one of the things, and this is, I don't know how to word this without, I don't know how this is actually going to sound, so I'm just going to say it, and it's not meant in any weird way. But I think one of the reasons our group thrives so well when we're in ghost hunt mode is because I do take on that leadership role. There's somebody to go ahead and make...
Okay, Gwen.
Huh?
Nothing.
What?
Nothing.
There's someone to, like, make a decision, in like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Here's the plan.
I don't know when we voted on you, but...
I'm
just
I just started it. But it does help. It helps to have somebody to, like, coordinate and organize instead of just sit and argue about it.
Yeah.
Is that a sarcastic nod? You're such a bitch.
I'm not sarcastic at all.
That still doesn't sound...
I'm telling the truth.
Totally. Am I a bad leader?
No. I don't think you're the leader.
Okay. Next week, you schedule and run the podcast. You start calling back all the clients and getting us investigations.
All the clients?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody. Just make this whole thing freaking happen.
Okay.
I need you to produce the next episode, get it up on... Because I'm failing at that anyway.
Okay. I'll totally do all that.
We're breaking up. This is why groups break up. You want to know how your group is trash? Because Sarah's in it. That's why.
I've been told that.
Oh, God.
Catherine says it's also because we don't take comments and debunking personally. Except for Brad. Brad takes everything personally.
I take every single goddamn thing personally. So the way we review evidence is we have an evidence review board. And this isn't the way we used to do it. It used to be I just did it. But then, my group had dissatisfaction with it. And I was like, okay, well, you guys look at evidence. And it was like, okay, we'll totally do that. And then it would just never happen. So
I tried to do it last time, and you're like, but I'm doing it this specific way, and you can't do it. I was like, okay.
So the compromise is we now have a private review board where I go through everything for the initial thing. I find as much stuff as I can. I post it to the review board. You guys look at it and just shit all over me. Every single thing. I'm like, hey, this looks like this could possibly maybe kind of be a shadow, and there's no...
And you get text back, hey, you're stupid.
Yeah, there's no, you might be mistaken. It's, you fucking idiot, that's you standing in the back wearing a hoodie. Yeah, you're right, but could you have been, I was going through it really fast, just trying to get this thing done. Nope, you're a moron. Okay, look at this other piece. Why? The other piece of evidence you showed like 10 minutes ago sucked. God. It's just brutal.
It's not our fault you suck.
I welcome other people to debunk our evidence constantly. But it is in that kind of presentation because people, man, they really get off on just trolling you.
Oh, yeah.
You're stupid. Like, I've tried real hard to do that. Like, when Catherine first started following our paranormal group, she sent me a photo she took at the hospital, and it is a really cool photo.
Oh yeah, I remember that actually.
And it's got the picture of the nun. And I never said that it wasn't paranormal. I said there's some telltale clues in the, and I kind of showed the process because I actually really appreciate that photo because it was one of the first times that like somebody sent us something and it wasn't just total garbage.
Yeah.
Like right off the bat. And, I kind of went through, I looked at angles of shadows. I did a couple of different like filters and lighting things to see if I could highlight and figure it out. And there could legitimately be like a third person that's not supposed to be there in that picture. But there's also a lot that us as the investigator don't know about that photo.
Yeah.
And that even Kat didn't know about that photo because she wasn't there when it was taken.
And that's the problem with other people's evidence. You kind of have to actually go to the place.
Yeah. But it was I tried to present all these options in a way that it wasn't confrontational. I wasn't saying, oh, you're stupid. There's no way. I was like, it's possible that that's not a ghost. Here's the other possibilities. Here's kind of what I think might be going on. But at the end of the day, it could be freaking anything. Really, I think it's been a while since I looked at it, but I think it's the reflection of something on the back side of a door behind the person taking the photograph.
See, I got a photo from another group a long time ago. Like, it was like the second episode of our podcast. And they had sent me a picture. I think it was a theater where they got a very clear shadow on the wall. And the guy says, this is a ghost, for sure, because no one was behind me. But there was someone in between the light source and the wall.
Right.
And someone else from the group confirmed that for me, but he was not willing to let that go.
That's where you really have to watch out when people throw evidence at you. When they say, here's a picture of a ghost I caught, not, hey, here's a strange picture. What do you think it is?
Yeah.
There's very different ways to present things. if you're already sure it's something, no one's going to sway you.
We have an
Otherwise,
argument over a picture we have. The Great House one. With the thing on the bridge. When that was first captured...
Because that's a goddamn ghost.
But what I'm saying is, like, in our own group, there was a lot of debate. Because I think it's just the leaves, coalescing and there's a shadow. It's just an angle.
Right.
But I don't know that for sure. But I don't understand why the person who thinks it's a ghost would double down instead of what we plan to do, which is go back and recreate
Well,
it.
and I think that's the difference with it, too. Like, do you get butthurt that I present that at, like, or speaking things as evidence?
No, I present it, too.
Because a lot of people really like that picture. And almost every...
Oh, no, when I go through the pictures, I talk about it. I don't say what I think.
But I think you should, on that note.
Well, I say what I think, but I'm not like, hey, this definitely isn't a ghost. I'm like, here, looks like leaves to me.
I like presenting possibilities because it's all in the perception of how you look at things. Yeah, you think it's the leaves, and I think I have a pretty logical explanation why it's not that, because of the frame of time between the two pictures and the repositioning. It could be a shadow cat. I think it's 100% a shadow in the shape of a person.
Yeah.
I don't 100% think it's a shadow person. It could be the shadow cast on to that area by something out of frame somehow. It's very unlikely, but
that's the problem with other people's pictures. I mean, we
you
can't go back.
You don't know what's outside of the field. That's why still shots are the worst form of evidence, period. Especially orbs.
I mean, I talked myself out of that at Kyle when I took that flash picture and I saw a shadow on the ground. My brain immediately went, well, that's your shadow, idiot. And then I went, wait, the light source is in front of me.
Right.
Well, haha. But no, like, just logically, I would assume it's something off screen that's doing it.
Yeah.
Like playing the original, what's that game? Silent Hill, where all the zombies are off screen and you can't shoot them. No, never played it?
Dude, I've played all of them. I'm just trying to figure out a specific point in time that you're talking about that's not relative to the show. But but yeah, I just... If your group is confrontational, your group sucks. If your group thinks they know everything, your group sucks. If you're going in and charging people for a product that you're not really providing, you're garbage. That's just kind of how it is. But I mean, it's really just supposed to be kind of like an ethics discussion. I mean, the title was really just to be kind of funny and get people to watch it later. But
I do find it unethical to take money from scared people for something you can't do.
There have been a lot of people. In fact, the last email I got, they said, this is going on at the house. I talked to somebody that said that they could, make like they made like a magic potion for him and put it in like a little water bottle. They're like, yeah, I sprayed it around the room.
They put tap water in a water bottle.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, and the activity calmed down for a little while, but it's coming back. And so I called that person back, and then they sold me another thing of the spray. I'm like, dude, like... How many times are you going to go through that before you realize somebody's full of crap and you're spraying a placebo around?
I'm going to have to market something like that.
Spirit be gone?
Yeah, just... Yeah. Because that's what a lot of parents do with kids that are afraid of stuff. There was this wave that came out where you just, put tap water in a spray bottle and you tell them you spray the inside of the closet and you're like, monster's gone. Works on 5-year-olds. Apparently works on grown-ups.
So... And it's not... I have no proof that psychics or mediums or any of that crap's a thing.
Aren't real.
And we don't really endorse anybody. But the thing is like when we were kind of looking at somebody that we could send or whatever, and we ran into Rose, we kind of vetted her. So, like, there's so many people that we've talked to, and the people that have helped, they're like, yeah, I have to go back like 3 or 4 times to go banish this demon over and over again because it keeps coming back. I have never heard from any of the people that we referred to Rose that she had to go back and ever do anything else again. She went in, whether it's placebo or actual voodoo magic, or she just uses her cleavage to make people happy, whatever she's doing, she goes the one time.
It's the third one, Alex.
And the other thing is she doesn't charge for that particular thing. Like, she charges for her spells and stuff that she does and all that stuff, but going to your house and getting rid of stuff in your house, she doesn't charge for that. And they never ask her to come back. They're always...
If you believe in that sort of thing, it's fine to pay money for it. None of my business. But if you're actively...
But that's what I'm saying, is she doesn't charge for that. Of all the things she charges for.
If she did, that would be fine. But if you're actively fleecing people, you suck.
I actively agree with you on that one. But... I don't know. What would you say? Would you say more groups in this are honest than dishonest, or do you think we're the rarity?
I think more groups are honest than dishonest.
I just think they don't understand the results they're getting. I think they're more mistaken than they are.
I really think more groups are honest than dishonest, but I also think this isn't a field people who get into it, they generally believe in this very strongly. Mm-hmm. So they're more inclined to believe things. And even if they go through a debunking process, they're still more inclined to believe it.
Yeah, because they're... And in this field, most everybody is working backwards from conclusion, and then they try to make an experiment that verifies the results that they already wanted to get.
Which is not the way that works.
No. Science, you set up a controlled experiment, and you accept whatever result comes out of that. And most of the time, the result is nothing. And even when we get a result that's questionable, that's all it is questionable. Like, it's not brought to conclusion. And that's just kind of how the field works. And it bothers me that people represent it as something other than what it is. If you're psychic or medium, that's fine. But, you have to market it as, look, this is how I feel about it. And at the end of the day, how you feel about something is not a fact. That's an opinion. Now, you can think you're... I can't dispute that you're not... Other than you're probably not accurate more than 50% of the time, like everybody else on the planet. But if you really feel you're... Maybe you are. But it's still just your opinion. Like, you have no basis to back that up unless you're 100% accurately predicting things that are happening or...
And the kind of people that are going to get a psychic on their own are the kind of people that already believe in it.
Yeah.
But being tricked into that sort of thing, that's kind of... that's a thing that happens that sucks.
Charge for extra stuff, but never protection and help. And I agree with that.
Spells and stuff.
But yeah, now I'm trying to figure out what the extra stuff is.
Reading spells. What other stuff do those people do?
It's just stuff that we don't do in our group. And I feel like I screw us out of so many investigations because people are like, oh, I want it like removed. And I'm like, oh, we don't do that. And I have to refer them on to
someone else. Yeah.
Someone that does that. But it would not be honest for us to say that we could do that. I really cannot do. I don't even believe that thing is there probably once I get in there. So to say I can actually remove it would be a bold-faced lie at the end of the day. But I think there's a lot of ethics problems.
Do you think most groups are dishonest, or do you think it's just belief? Strength of faith?
I think there are members in most... I think most groups have members within that group that are dishonest, that are fooling the rest of that group. You get what I'm saying? So if you have 5 people in a group and that group finds a lot of evidence, the person that's responsible for going through all the evidence usually is the one that's faking it.
I just don't believe that people are actively faking these things. I mean, on TV shows, sure, but I just don't think people are actively thinking. I just think they're misconstruing.
You need to spend some more times in the groups online that I do, because there's some BS.
I'm in some of those groups, and they're constantly posting pictures of orbs that are...
No, I see... Oh my God. So I don't like showing our pictures of full body apparitions, the one from the warehouse and the one at Great House, because every full body apparition picture I've ever seen, I just want to piss all over because I know it's crap. It looks photoshopped. I'm like, that's garbage. It's stupid. And I can usually debunk all of them. And then I look at ours and I'm like, all right, I know I didn't fake that. But God, that looks photoshopped. It's nuts. Like, I don't think anybody's really getting full. The difference is we don't claim 100% that it could be a ghost. We think it could be something else. But people are getting these full body apparition pictures and saying, no, this is definitely a ghost. I know nobody else was in the room at the time.
I think if there is, like, if people can take full body apparitions of ghosts, that would be a thing that would happen a lot more often, considering the amount of people that think they experience hauntings.
I think there's logic. I think the two that we got are legitimate, undoctored pictures, but I think have legitimate explanations behind them other than a ghost.
Say he's talking about on YouTube, there's fake and paranormal stuff. Yeah, I know. I'm talking about the groups we run into. Is I don't think they're trying to fleece people. Yeah. Now, I've run into one that was. But I think they're just really misconstruing evidence and refusing to have it debunked. They're refusing to believe any of the debunks.
Yeah. When you present them with a logical answer for something, they dig in their heels and are like, no, I know how to use an EMF detector. Do you?
But there are people that fake it. I know that.
Yeah.
Just I don't think that's the commonality. I think that's what gets suppressed.
I mean, one of the things I went through and did is like, hey, how can I fake it? Like I know how to trick our equipment to get stuff. Well, I mean, I did the video on it on like how to make the EMF detector go off, and that's real important to know actually because I don't make it my goal to go debunk every other group that shows me evidence or whatever. But I do like looking at other groups' evidence and the way that they got it. But it's helpful to know how to fake it because they could be accidentally doing that or they could be purposely doing that. And it's real important to know what that stuff is. I don't know. But I don't know. Do you think our group sucks?
Sometimes.
I think our group sucks pretty much all the time. All the times.
I think sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
I don't know. I want to get more active. But
I know we make, the mistake we most commonly make is someone talking in another room while someone's doing EVPs.
Right. But that's because investigation is boring.
Well, and
especially if you're not the one doing the like thing at the time.
Well, and a lot of times the walls are thinner than we think they are. Mm-hmm. So you're outside whispering, and I'm still picking you up on the EVP.
Yeah. I don't think people realize how much sound travels. About apparitions, I got a still shot from Kyle that got me questioning what I caught, but I'm not going to discount the fact that it could be fog. And that's a perfectly logical mode of thinking. I mean, like, if you're being completely logical, you need to consider every single thing it could be before jumping to the most illogical conclusion humanly possible. That's the last thing on the list of a million things.
Yeah.
It's, how likely is it that a bug flew in front of their... Like, really freaking likely, dude. At least more likely than someone dead posing in front of your camera. I mean, like, really think about that for a minute. I mean, if you want to talk about how likely something is or what's the probability, the probability's fucking zero, dude. That's how that works sometimes. Sorry, but no one ever has proven that they took a picture or a video or audio of somebody that's no longer alive.
That's not a thing.
It's not a thing. It's never happened. It hasn't been proven. Maybe it's happened, but it hasn't been proven beyond the shadow of a doubt. Why? Because there's way more likely things that could be happening, and that's just freaking life. And it's not to say that, this random picture of the Pepsi can, with something over here, that orb couldn't be spirit energy trying to drink my Pepsi. But,
everyone knows spirit energy prefers Coke.
It's true. It's, the classic formula, too, not that new Coke crap. I don't know. I just the lack of logical thinking, the jumping to conclusions, the fact that everybody's just at each other's throats all the time. But there are some good groups out there too.
Yeah.
There's some good local groups too, like the green shirt ones. Can't remember their name.
And even in other groups, like one specific I can think of, only one person in it was bad. Everyone else was pretty.
Oh yeah, yeah. The one we're like heavily ragging on. It was just one bad apple. And Emilio said, one member can ruin the credibility of the entire group. It destroyed that group. It was just one guy being a dill hole. But it just, like, lobotomized that whole operation.
I stumbled upon the biggest wreck ever with that. Just because I was bored.
I mean, I attribute at least 6 of our podcasts just to that guy. Because it's just it's the perfect example of what not to freaking do. You know, if you're going to be a guy that goes into strangers' homes and tell them there's ghosts there, don't be a douche, don't be a pedophile, don't go attacking other groups on their methods. You might be drawing attention to yourself in all your, things going on. It's just a bad idea.
Because I would never have checked on that ever if he hadn't have gotten in my messenger and been mean.
Yeah.
And just continually mean for just days.
Yeah, it's just if you don't want people to notice you faking all your crap, maybe don't be an asshole to the other people in your field. Like I'm doing. Oh no.
Yeah. This is why everyone hates us. To you.
But there are good people, like everybody else in that group. They were legitimate, and they talked to us, and they were really, really trying to, like, they came on the podcast, and they're like, look, we don't want to be associated with this dude. Like, and I really commend them for that. There's a couple of local groups. They're not bad. They're good. I don't agree with everything they call evidence.
Yeah.
Not even that I disagree with the way they do things.
But as people, as investigators, we have no issue.
Yeah. They're not cheating anybody.
Amelia says those were our best episodes.
Oh, where we're just ragging on people? Yeah, that's why I was trying to bring it back this episode, but now I'm pussyfooting around calling certain people out. Those Paranormal Brothers, though, they're shady as crap. I hear they just skulk around in the graveyard trying to debunk this other group's stuff. They're real a-holes, man.
I don't have any group specifically that I don't like. There was one at a panel we went to that did another thing that means your group sucks. He wanted a location, and he was going to pester the poor girl.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
To death.
If you bully your way into a location, you suck bad, real bad. Like, if people don't want you coming in, like, it's fun to ask. If there's a cool place and you've heard rumors or for whatever freaking reason you want to go in there, right?
Yeah.
And you talk to the place that owns it and they say, we're not comfortable with that. If you are pushy past that point, other than say, okay, if you change your mind...
if you ever change your mind, here's my info.
Here's my info. I really am interested, and if you want to talk about it further later, maybe I can convince you that you want to do, if you want to continue the conversation. But he just... And it screwed him over in the end.
Yeah.
Because now no one... Like, we got to go. We got invited back twice, and no one else gets to do that place. And that's not even by hard design. I would actually really like another group to go in there.
But that guy was just so awful.
Oh, dude, he was a jerkbag. He's like, well, you know what clued me off how much of a jerkbag he was? Because when we were talking to him at that panel, he's like, well, I used to have a group, but my wife was in it and we got divorced. And like, so I'm not in that. I just do everything solo on my own now. And I just use this one camera and this thing, and it's me versus the world, and I don't need anything. And I use my Christian powers to find ghosts. And then that lady's like, hey, has this place ever been investigated? Yeah, I'm going to do it. No, you're fucking not.
Another thing that makes your group suck. There is a location in Cleburne called the Wright Plaza that I have been hearing about since I was a little kid.
It's in a book I have in there.
And, I was seeing a doctor there, and she told me they don't allow other ghost hunters. They had one group come through. Now, they have a state representative and a lawyer and a psychologist that work up there.
Mm-hmm.
So they locked all the doors because this is...
Guess what? Those are private
These are
documents.
super private documents.
HIPAA
for the psychology. Yeah, I mean, it's... And the ghost group that they allowed to go through there decided to try and break into the rooms.
That's bad, by the way.
Messing with stuff that they were asked not to mess with. So now no one else gets to do it. This is why we can't have nice things.
And also, To all the groups that are just going into like cemeteries and then vandalizing it.
Oh,
but
please don't do that. I hate that.
Hey, if you're vandalizing a place that you're investigating, guess what? You're not investigators. You're not a paranormal group. You're just a bunch of assholes.
You're also ruining it for everybody else, and you might go to jail.
I wish they would.
Because Great House is the cemetery I really like just because it's a cemetery. Like I like going out there during the day. It's really pretty.
That's where they kick over all.
Yeah, but someone has kicked over most of the gravestones. Obviously, someone's had a fire pit out there. There's always beer bottles. Like, well, what kind of asshole is like, dead people? Fuck with them. They're not going to do anything, which is accurate but wrong. I knew a guy once that stole a marker off of one of the roadside things. I was like, it would serve you right if you got just massively haunted. I wish that was a thing that happened. If you're a douche enough to do that, you deserve it. You know.
But they call themselves we were out there paranormal investigating. Well, like your friend that got... We were out there paranormal investigating. No, you weren't. You were out there calling ghosts fag.
That's what they were doing.
That's not paranormal investigation. That's just going out and screaming obscenities into the night. And like,
we were trying to rile it up. No,
you're just a douche.
Yeah.
There's no nice way to put it. So there's a lot of tomfoolery. So disrespectful. Yeah, putting it mildly. And those Paranormal Brothers, those are the worst out of all of them. I heard they go out there and just take dumps on graves.
It makes me mad.
I'm just kidding. Nobody think that, guys.
Yeah,
they're friends of ours. They're really awesome.
But specifically, it bothers me because cemeteries have always been something I liked. And, I like going out there, looking at them, doing gravestone rubbings, whatever. And if somebody has kicked over everything, it's not as much fun. You're ruining it for me. I don't like that. What are you doing?
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Talk.
Oh my God! I was waiting for you to finish.
I'm done now.
Oh, out, Sarah, out. I don't know. We're getting close to wrapping up, but it's and there's we get on. I feel like we rag on more groups than we actually praise, but it's. God damn, y'all make it so easy because there's no organization to it. There's no one policing it. So arrogant.
We go to Kyle purely to take shits.
It's true.
That's how you get a goat man, a skinwalker. That's how you come home with a skinwalker. You need your test questions.
Yeah. Did we ever explain to his group about the test questions?
I don't know. Your brother might be a skinwalker. Emilio might be a skinwalker.
We never did a skinwalker episode. We need one to explain what that actually is.
Anyway, you have to have test questions. What did we do on this date in 1993?
I took a dump on a grave.
Because the skinwalker wouldn't know, but your brother would. Well, maybe not the date. But yeah, you have to have test questions or a code word, something. You have to have something.
Armadillo.
I already ruined that one.
Oh.
Last episode.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, do you think somebody should be policing it?
I don't think. What?
That's a like. There's no one in charge of this mess. There's
Who's policing the towns of sea monkeys? These aren't things. These aren't things that exist. They're brine shrimp. No one cares if they die. I'm just saying, who's policing the invisible things that don't exist and the people that hunt them? No one's going to do that for a job.
I feel like if you've seen 3 episodes of Supernatural, you're now qualified.
Yeah.
Is a paranormal investigator. It's like, why is he putting salt rings down? That's not really a thing, dude.
Speaking of, I just watched Supernatural and they're doing the thing with the EMF where it's just beeping. They're like, it's a ghost.
Oh, yeah. They got the special, it's got the lights that go all the way up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, unless I like to find doppelgangers. Yeah, skinwalkers can supposedly mimic humans, but, they can't answer. They don't get your memories. So you have to have something to...
Yeah, and specifically, like, the evidence we've got out there after thinking we didn't have any evidence, and we would like go back through, we would get a lot of
our voices when we weren't talking.
Yeah, like you'll hear one of us talking, but like that person's not talking. It just sounds like.
I think our next episode should be on skinwalkers because I've done so much research on that. That'll be awesome.
Well, that is your happy obsession. Okay, so the next episode
I might be a little obsessed with skinwalkers.
Next episode will be about the Nival de Luche.
90% of the creepypastas I listen to are about skinwalkers too.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty much our show, guys. We just rambled about,
everybody sucks. We suck too.
Everybody sucks. I mean, there's good. Okay, so like recently we've networked with the Unseen Paranormal Network, and they're trying to do something different. Instead of just being like their own group, it's like a couple of people, and they work with a bunch of different groups. So it's not the same group.
Yeah.
Everything. And actually, one of the things I was ragging on earlier was somebody not like in their group, but in like an adjacent sort of group. And that's going to happen when you work with it. They're going to do things like you don't like or whatever. And but I like their approach.
I like what they're trying to do.
I like what they're trying to do. I like their approach to it. I like their honesty in what they're doing. I really like Emilio's group, the Paranormal Brothers thing.
Yeah, and he says we should do a joint investigation at Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, God.
That's my mecca.
Yeah, I would love to go there. Dude, you know what? I love the Skinwalker. I hate Ghost Adventures, but I love the Skinwalker Ranch episode because they had the same shit happen there that we had happen to us and Kyle, and it was nuts.
But... yeah, sorry. I do like what Hades trying to do, like that group's trying to do is kind of, bring everyone together, have some cooperation.
I just think they have a very long, windy road ahead of them. And especially up and that's kind of what spurred a lot of this on, because she was talking about like what a lot of the groups up there are doing, which is, it seems like what we're talking about, but times 10. Like, people have these places on lockdown, and there's, and I there was this like one post or whatever I saw, and I guess the group had investigated somewhere that another team thought was their location, which you don't own, unless you own it, it's not your location. But the post on their wall was, hey, everybody's on notice. This is bullcrap. If people can't thank us for letting them come to our location, then we're not going to let outsiders investigate here anymore. Well, guess what, bro? That ain't how that works at all.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. So.
Don't do that, I think, is the crux of this show.
Like, you want to be more tolerant of the other groups, but quit sucking. Your group needs to stop sucking, and then I will be way more tolerant of your group.
I don't think you will.
I am totally fine with sharing. Like, I don't like the Alton Bridge, but you know what? Is what it is. There's some other locations I really want to do, but Captain Howdy's got it on freaking lockdown. So, Captain Howdy can suck my burrs because, eventually I'll get a hold of the people that own the place and just schedule it on my own or whatever.
Yeah.
Actually, the hospital we're going to, I had to bypass another group to get us in there. And ironically, go figure, it's cheaper for us to, like $400 cheaper for us to do it the way I'm doing it, going direct. And I don't have somebody else trying to tell me how to find ghosts. That's why I don't like other people there, because I'll be there with all my equipment, and they're like, you know how you find the ghosts? You got to talk to them a certain way. You got to caress them on the back.
You're a control freak.
No, it's just like...
That's part of it. Totally part of it.
Okay, whatever. Apparently, you know how to tell if your group sucks? If your group is our group. That's how you can tell. I met you at Kyle, man. How do you not remember? That is awesome.
Yeah, their combo. I like that. It turns out they're skinwalkers.
Emilio says, NT Paranormal owes us for going to Alton. We own that one.
Y'all can have it.
Yeah, it's all
That is
yours. Y'all.
That is all.
Y'all.
Use guys.
All right. So I just realized as I was about to hit the closing bumper thing why the bumper doesn't work. It's because I don't have the hard drive
Oh my
plugged
god.
in. It's got all of it on there. So I'm just gonna play you guys out. So doot 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 doot. Thanks for watching, everybody. We've been doing some website updates and stuff like that. Oh, I guess I do want to mention it before we shut down the show. So we're thinking about doing our own convention's too big of a word, so I'm thinking conference, but we're thinking about doing the North Texas Paranormal Conference, and we're looking at like getting a good sized venue where we can have maybe a handful of vendors and then like a presentation set up, and then where we can do some classes and stuff like that. So if you guys know any place like that in the DFW area that you could suggest, that's because this is all everybody's super interested in it, but it all the upfront cost would come like directly out of my pocket, you know.
Yeah.
And so it would be something that we have to like do tickets for or whatever. So if you're kind of interested in that, let us know that you're interested, so because I'm still trying to gauge whether or not I can afford to do this and if I'm going to make my money back on it, sort of thing. So the more people that are interested in it and want it to happen, if you let me know that, then I know it might be safe to proceed with it. If you don't, then I might think it's a lost cause and not do it. And I'm working pretty hard at getting the second episode up on Amazon. We still have evidence and stuff to go through. It's been really crazy. Emilio says, I can't stand that place after I encountered a kid saying, oh, let's make a pentagram with piss on the bridge and continue to piss on the bridge.
Gross.
Yeah, that sounds like Alton.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate to what we've found.
That's pretty accurate to Denton, just in general, dude. Like if you go to the square, they're doing the same thing. They're just like, hey, let's make pentagrams with piss. There's a goth club in Denton. It's so weird. It's so weird. I hate that place so
question.
much.
Do y'all think it's disrespectful to investigate Alton after this recent death there? We were there like the night after that happened.
Yeah, it happened like 2 nights.
And we didn't know.
And the people that were with us, or not with us, but there were like other people there, they're like trying to contact that spirit. I was like, I don't feel comfortable. Because like the thing is like they walked up and they were telling this story about the person that jumped off the bridge. I'm like, that's not it. No, it was Oscar Washburn, and he was supposedly hung.
And they were like, no, yesterday.
They're like, no, someone died like the other day. And I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. What was nuts is that was your kids and Allie's kids like birthday party.
Yeah, so my kids, do I think it's disrespectful? I don't. I don't think it's disrespectful.
I think it depends how you're doing it.
Yeah, if you're there in private, and I don't think the dead person cares. I don't think that's disrespectful if you're being respectful.
I think had we done it like on a live stream or something like that, yeah, I think it would be, because like the family could see that or something, and that's a really fresh wound.
But if you're going out there to just investigate on your own,
I mean, you may as well go to somebody's funeral and try to get EVPs.
And you're not publishing it, I don't see why that would be disrespectful.
Yeah.
But if you're going to air that,
well, then you're doing it for your own. You're using a family's tragedy
for publicity.
For your own gain.
Generally, I don't think it's disrespectful, but airing that would be disrespectful. So, yeah.
You know what sucks about that? So, say you do that though. Say you get some. Oh, what if that's the best evidence that's ever been got? Then all of a sudden you're like, I can use this. Know you're stuck. And that's one of the rules like we have with our investigations is unless you're willing to be on camera, and that's why we make people sign those clauses, because we don't know when we could capture something. So if you're going to be there as part of the investigation, you have to basically say you're okay with being on camera or recorded and having all that released
And we
at that
have
time.
in one point done some that wanted to remain anonymous, but it was just too impossible.
I mean, I can blur their face or whatever, and that's fine. If you're like, yeah, I can be on camera, but, I need you to blur my face and change my voice, that's fine. But, like, people are like, oh, I don't want to be on camera, but I want to be all up in the middle of everything you're doing. That is not possible at all. But, yeah. Okay, guys, so...
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, have a good night.